When you're diagnosed with multiple fertility issues and told that IVF is your only option to have a baby, it's easy to get into the mindset of thinking that's exactly what you need to do. But when the cost of treatments makes that pretty prohibitive, what else can you do? Today we are continuing our Infertility Stories series, and you are going to hear from one woman who is still in the thick of her own journey, but how she is refusing to give up. Welcome to your journey to fertility. This is the podcast that blends science with spirit to give you all the tools you need as you navigate your fertility journey. I'm your host, Jennifer Edmonds, and for the last 15 years, I've been helping women on their journeys to motherhood and beyond. I believe that combining the latest scientific research along with the best energetic and mindset practices will help you to avoid putting your life on hold and bring you closer to your baby. Each week, you'll learn ways to support your fertility and trust your body so that you can stop stressing that you'll never have your baby and finally walk your path to motherhood. This is the Your Journey to Fertility podcast. Hello and welcome back to the podcast. Thank you so much for being here and joining me today. I have someone wonderful that I am so excited for you to hear from today. I met Jessica a couple of years ago as she was going through her own trying to conceive journey. And she was one of those people who was just looking for something more. She was longing for something more on this journey, more than the appointments and, the medications and the endless procedures. Now, the reason I wanted to have Jess on the podcast is because she has this unwavering self-belief in her body, in her baby, and her ability to build the family that she's dreaming about. And that is rare because after so many setbacks, and Jess has been through many, many setbacks, she still knows exactly what she's capable of, even without that proof in her hands. And that is an incredible and I think rare place to get to. It's certainly something that I struggled with a lot. And that is the reason I wanted her to share her story with you today. I think you're going to find it incredibly inspiring. Now, before we get into it, a reminder, it is 10 days. Yes, 10 days as this goes live until we start Embrace the Journey. Now, this is where we get to dive into all of the practices that Jess is going to speak about on this episode today and show you how they can start having an impact on your fertility, your overall physical and mental health. We have 3 practices that we're going through over 3 days, and you get so many things that you can then throw into your toolkit. You get the replays from each of the training sessions sent to you. So they're things that you can come back to and you can find what really resonates for you. We go through fertility yoga practices, breath work, guided meditations, and it's safe no matter where you are on your journey or where you are in your cycle that week as well. And just for registering, you also get 2 free gifts from me as soon as you put your name down. So the whole series is completely free. It's a way for you to come and meet me, ask me all of your questions, and I cannot wait to have you there. So the link is down in the show notes, so please get your name registered today. All right. Let's begin this episode. I hope you enjoy hearing from the wonderful Jess as much as I did. Jess, I'm so excited to sit down with you and discuss everything that we have coming up today. Your journey is a big one. It's like, for lack of a better word, you have had such a big journey. So welcome and thank you for being here. Can we start by learning, just for context, a little bit about you and where you live and your journey and where it all began?
Yeah. So my name's Jessica. I am 32 years old. I live in Florida in the United States. And it all began quite a few years ago when my husband and I decided we were going to try to have a baby.
Once upon a time.
And then, so we came across, lots and lots and lots of obstacles to this baby. We fell pregnant about 8 months into our trying to conceive when all of my friends were coming off birth control and getting pregnant right away, and everybody was so excited and couldn't understand why I wasn't so excited. And we fell pregnant and we unfortunately lost that baby at 5 weeks. And then we just kept trying because if it happened once, it's going to happen again. But we took like a very long break. We took about a 6 month to almost a year break because I was unwell. And then we geared back up. We started trying again. We fell pregnant in a couple of more months, and we also lost that baby too. And then we fell pregnant through an IUI, and we lost that baby like days after I took a pregnancy test, like maybe 2, 3 days. And then IVF brought us our son, and we are now trying for baby number two. And we fell pregnant in September, but that we also lost that baby through like a chemical pregnancy. But we became pregnant naturally, so still trying, still hoping.
Mm.
That-
Absolutely. Thank you for
Mhm.
sharing. It's so hard. And when you look back at your journey and you put it in like, all of these milestones, you think, there was this that happened when, but there is so much emotion that goes into all of that and how many losses that you have had. Oh, I can't even imagine how heartbreaking that is, Jess. Can you walk me through a little bit of, you said you took a bit of a break after your first loss. Did you really feel like you needed that time to start healing emotionally as well? What did that look like for you?
Yeah, for me, I didn't leave my bed for like weeks. I like couldn't talk. I couldn't do anything without crying. Like I was just like a mess, like feeling like this was like some sort of karma that was coming for me. I had done something in this life, a past lifetime. I did something where like the worst of the worst had to happen to me. And like after waiting for a baby for so long and like watching all of your friends and like some people were on their second baby at that time and you know, this happening for us and we were so excited, like very naive. We were so excited. We like were so sure. Like we didn't even think about like miscarriage and loss and everything that goes into early pregnancy. And I was just like a mess. Like there was no other option for me but that working. And so I like really needed to take time and like, when you lose a baby, so much is said to you. Like so
Mm.
much outside noise is said to you and things are said to you and things were said to me that were not kind. And I really needed time to grieve that. And I did go through therapy and um I just really needed the time to like be in a state where like I wanted to be a mom. Like not that I wanted to be a mom, like I knew that motherhood was what I wanted to do since I was really young. But like getting back into that mindset of like, okay, I would be a good mom. Like after that loss, I felt like there's no way I could be a mom right now. If I were to get pregnant right now, there's no way I could step up and be a good mom. So I really needed to like grieve that baby and that pregnancy and we needed time as a married couple to deal with it as well because it's hard on the woman but it's also hard on the man. That's also their baby.
Absolutely. I relate to that so much, that feeling of I am so broken right now that even if I did get pregnant tomorrow, I would not be the parent my little baby deserved. And I
Yeah.
had that moment of realization as well. It was really confronting. That was probably the place of my lowest point where I really noticed that things needed to change. And that's what kind of brought me on this very long healing journey that, fast forward many years brings us right here to today. Oh, so thank you for sharing that. And I do find, it's this rhetoric that we're told growing up that as soon as you have unprotected sex, you're going to get pregnant, and you're like, sweet, that's just going to be a done deal. No one prepares you for what happens when it doesn't work and what happens when it does work and then you lose the baby. Oh my goodness. Can you talk to us a little bit about what those sort of next steps that you took where you decided to go and seek treatment? What was the sort of space you found yourself in there? Did you feel supported? Did you have to advocate for yourself quite a lot? And how did you navigate all that?
Yeah, so I think it was after our second pregnancy loss. We were a year and a half into trying again, and everyone around us is pregnant, and I was like, there's something wrong. So we went to the OB, and the OB referred us to a fertility clinic. And they were like, nothing's wrong, just keep trying. And I was like, okay. And then we kept trying, and 6 months later, here we are, and I'm like, this is not working. So they brought us in, and they did another analysis on my husband, and they found like he had lower than they would have liked. Um, and we did an IUI. That one ended in a miscarriage. And then we were going in for a second IUI, and they were like, oh, everything's fine. Everything looks good. Everything looks good. So we go in on IUI day, and we're sitting in the waiting room for a really long time. And I looked at my husband and I was like, something's wrong. Something's wrong. So then the nurse calls us back after like a 2 hour wait. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. So they bring us back and they were like, don't get undressed. The doctor has to come in and talk to you. And I was like, oh my God, what happened? So they come in and they tell us my husband has one singular sperm. And I was like, what? And they were like, we can continue on with the IUI with this one singular sperm, or you can go home and do it the old natural way. And I was like, no, I need to get out of here. We left, and my sweet husband, we got in the car, and I was like hysterical. And he was like, do you still love me? Like, do you still want to have children with me? Do you still want to be married to me? Like, I know that you want to have children of your own. My husband has a daughter from a previous relationship. Um, that was one of the moments where like it just like broke everything in me. And I was like, of course, of course, like if this isn't the plan, there's something else. We will figure out how to be parents. I decided that this didn't feel right. Like this didn't set right. The way the news came across didn't feel right. So we took a break. I looked into IVF and I found a job with IVF coverage. I quit my job like a couple of days later. I started working this job and we moved fertility clinics. When moving fertility clinics, I see written all over the paperwork to see a urologist. He needs to see a urologist. They never once asked us to go see a urologist. So the first thing our new clinic did was send him to a urologist because she thought that he had like a blocked sperm duct. It turns out to be retrograde ejaculation. So like us getting pregnant naturally is like completely unheard of with this diagnosis. But we did. And so then they sent us back and he gave the okay for IVF, and that's when we just moved along. But yeah, there was plenty of times that I had to kind of yell for myself along
Wow.
this.
To initially be told that everything's fine, yet they did not even test your husband, and then to go through that entire process and not even be given a diagnosis that was written on his file. That don't even get me started on the way that the medical world approaches things. Oh my goodness, Jess, I'm so sorry you went through all of that, honestly. This must have been a bit of a minefield, and it was around this time that you and I met. And you had decided that the way things were going was it was too upsetting. Like it was draining you emotionally, and I feel like you were looking for something else. And that's how I felt as well. I felt like I did everything perfectly. I did what my doctor said. On paper, this should have worked, but I feel like there is something I'm missing. So, what was it that made you lean into this kind of more woo-woo world of so you can describe it in any way that you want, but what was the turning point, and how did you kind of get into that side of things?
Yeah, I started living my life in like 2 week increments. And I like the 2 week wait, and then the 2 week wait to go and ovulate, and then the 2 week wait again. And it was just awful. I was like, there has to be more to life than this. There has to be more to life than sitting on my bathroom floor, crying over a negative pregnancy test, crying about other people being pregnant. Like, I was just done feeling like I wasn't myself anymore. I didn't recognize like the person I saw in the mirror. I didn't recognize the human that I had become, like the wife I had become, the daughter, the friend, like everything. I was just like a shell of a human being. Like I describe it like walking through the world like a zombie. Like I didn't want to talk about or think about anything but trying for a baby. And so I finally had enough and was like, there has to be more to life than this. And then I found you, and then I found Jesse at Manifesting Motherhood. And I was like, there's no way you get to have a baby like this. Like, there's no way that like women are doing this and they're falling pregnant. But I'll give it a go. And so I gave it a go. I gave it my all. And like 30 days in, I had manifested a new home, a new job with full fertility coverage, a better paying job. Like I had manifested so much. And I was like, why couldn't I do this to have a baby? And I mean, hey, it worked.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that as well. I love that because you touched on something there that when people start, when it comes back to very basic scientific things as well, when you start regulating your nervous system and you start coming from a place of, I am capable, and it's not just I'm capable of having a baby, but I actually feel capable of being myself again. And when you give yourself back that power, that is where so many other things shift as well. Like you said, you got this amazing new job. You didn't have to pay the obscene amounts that they charge in the US for IVF to have your baby. I mean, it's sometimes you look at these things and you're like, there's no like logical explanation, but there is. I find that that's what people are missing. You don't have to be miserable to get your baby. And I did that. I did that the hard way the first time. I did it all, by pushing and grasping and feeling desperate, and I got the baby, but I was miserable. I was so anxious as a new mother. I found it really, really difficult to relax and enjoy being with her. It was just, there was always the other shoe was going to drop. Something was going to happen to her. And it made the second journey really, really difficult, much harder than the first. So I love that you share that because you do get to be happy and pregnant. You're allowed to have both at the same time. And we do forget that when we are living our life in these 2-week increments at a time. So what did that look like for you? So what did some of these practices look like? How did you incorporate them into your day?
Yeah. People think I'm nuts when I talk about this, but I spent every moment of every day with my baby. Like every moment of every day. He was in the back seat. I was talking to him while I was driving to work. I was talking to him as I was cooking dinner. I was spending my life with him. I would go on walks and visualize pushing the stroller. I would go on walks and visualize him on my chest. And like the things that I was doing with him then are the things that I do with him today. Like
Hmm.
it, and like in meditation is so
Chef's kiss.
beautiful. It's so
Yes.
beautiful. Like you get to see the life that you are about to be living. Like if you really like dedicate yourself to it and like you really give it, it took me some time. It definitely does take some time to like get used to. But like now, like, oh my gosh, I could like close my eyes, put on some like waves in the background, and I'm like seeing my next 40 years. Like you can just like whatever you want is available to you today. Like that feeling of having your baby is available to you right now. And that was something that I learned. And I was like, this is life changing stuff. Like, why is not everybody who's trying for a baby doing this? Because you don't have to be miserable. You can spend time with your baby today. Like, he is exactly who I saw in those meditations. And it is so crazy to me. I remember, like, when I first had him and like experiencing things, and I would be like, wow, is this like deja vu? Like, what is this? And it's just so cool. It's just like so amazing to like come into the house and like see the exact situation play out that I was like seeing in meditation. And obviously, I did a lot of scripting, I did a lot of journaling, like, something that Jesse talks about a lot is like taking out the trash. I still do that to this very day. Just list out 10 things that are bothering me, that I want to let go of, that I'm ready to let go of. That was huge for me. Like people, places, things that were said to me, like especially with how much loss we've had. We've heard everything in the book. So like getting rid of all of that and like just letting it off my chest, like that was huge for me to like heal through some of the trauma that was thrown my way. Like I felt so much lighter walking through the world, and like if somebody said something stupid to me today, it would just roll off my back.
Mm. It sounds almost too good to be true. And the thing that I find people push back when I explain this and say, you are allowed to get excited. You're allowed to be hopeful and joyful about your future. And the thing that I always hear from people that are not quite ready to step into that different place is that I don't want to get my hopes up. I don't want to get my hopes up and be more disappointed. And my response to them is always, well, how's that working for you? How's that going? Is that working out? Is it, are you getting where you want to be? I think there is a better way. What do you to say to those sorts of comments?
I mean, like, there's women around the globe that get pregnant being miserable all the time. Would you rather that, or would you rather feel good? Like, and I don't feel like it's getting your hopes up at all, because it's not like a this cycle, this cycle, this cycle kind of a thing. This is eventually this is coming for me. It
Mm.
doesn't matter when this is coming for me. This is available to me today, and I'm going to take it. You're never going to regret loving your baby. You're never going to regret spending time with your baby, as long as you're not like, oh my God, this has to happen for me tomorrow. Like, I don't see where you're getting your hopes up at all, because this is somebody that you're going to love for the rest of your life. So why not start nourishing that relationship now?
The biggest thing for me with all of this work, I think, was removing the pressure of time. And that was the hardest thing I think I did. I had this idea that it has to happen by this date because of this. And I mean, who decided that? I decided that. And for what reason? There was no reason it had to happen then. I wanted my kids to be really close together in age. And now looking back at it, I'm like, I couldn't imagine it any other way. Like, it's perfect the way that it is. So the other thing I want to ask you about is how do you find it also more recently these practices have helped you when things haven't gone the way that you've hoped? And it's not like you fell pregnant super easily after all of this, and then having your loss a couple of months ago. How have you been able to lean into some of these practices to help you? How have they helped you?
Yeah. So for me, like the pregnancy loss meant nothing about like my identity as a mom of two. So like
Mm.
I believe like without a shadow of a doubt that this baby is coming home, and it doesn't matter how they come home. They're coming, and just because like there was a pregnancy loss, it doesn't mean anything about the inevitability of me becoming a mom of two. But when it comes to like manifestation and connecting with this baby, like I chose to connect like when there was times that I was feeling really sad. I let them know, "Hey, I'm feeling really sad. I really wish you were here. I really wish we were walking into the holidays with a growing belly together. Like I really wish like these things were happening and like XYZ." And then
Mm.
as like manifestation helps with loss, because the practices that like you teach and that Jesse teaches, like these kinds of like deep inner healing, it doesn't ever stop. It ebbs and flows. Like you don't forget that you lost a baby 7 years from now. I still remember all of the due dates. I still remember all of the conception dates. Like those days stay with you forever, and the grief stays with you forever. Like you look down and you wish that all these children were here with you, but you have to keep going because it ebbs and it flows, right? Like if you stay stuck in that grief, like you don't get to like the good times, the happy times. And
Mm.
I'm not saying like forget about the babies that you've lost, but this that carries with you. Like you get to use manifestation and meditation to heal those parts of yourself. Like this very recent loss, like I let myself be angry for 2 weeks. Like it meant nothing about becoming a mom to another baby. It just meant that I needed to be angry, and I needed to cry, and I needed to grieve. And manifestation and like meditation and all of these practices, they're not saying you can't grieve. They're not saying you can't be angry. They're not saying toxic positivity and walk throughout the world even though you're actively losing your baby and with a smile on your face. Like, it's just saying that, you get to be that mom of two or that mom to that baby. Like, you get to be that mom. And it doesn't matter that like your reality sucks right now. Like my reality did, it really sucked. It still sucks, Like you wish you were walking into the holidays with that baby or whatever that may be, like whatever that may look like for you. But like it doesn't mean anything about you or your baby or them coming home to you.
Oh, that's so, so incredibly true, isn't it? And this whole idea of what you just touched on, that these practices get lumped into the same boat as toxic positivity. Like, I have to always be happy, otherwise the universe isn't going to give me what I want. And that's not it. The vibration that we want to get into is this sense of allowing and surrendering to what is there. And that encompasses everything. You're going to feel angry. You're going to feel grief and sadness and helplessness and all of the emotions that come up, and pushing them away just encourages them to come back even stronger, doesn't it? And so I find that when you get into that place of allowing and almost sort of from an objective point of view, just noticing, this is how I'm feeling today. How is this feeling in my body? And allowing that to be there. Gosh, I find that for me now, when I'm going through something that I find really challenging, that allowing piece moves through it much more quickly. And obviously it depends on what you're going through, but it makes your whole life feel easier. So thank you for sharing that as well. I want to ask you about like some of the physical practices of yoga. So I think that you have so beautifully touched on the meditation piece and the way that this all intertwines with manifesting what you want. And that's what I really try to tell people, because, when people think about yoga, they think, oh, I need to do some poses on a yoga mat. And sure, that's a part of it, right? But it's one part. So it's not like you do these 3 yoga poses and you'll get pregnant this month. That is not what I teach. And I think that that's a lot of misconceptions. So can you talk a little bit about how you find the physical practices really mesh with all of this?
Yeah, my favorite thing that you do is like you ask us to set an intention at the beginning of each and every flow that you do. And I love that. And like you really do give like a great amount of time to like think about it. And you bring it up throughout the entire practice. And that's what I love. Especially, I forget which one it was. I just did this like a couple days to like maybe a week ago. You left like a little bit of time at the end where like we're just like laying on our back, like, and I took that time to like really connect with my baby. And I left it like sobbing, just like sobbing, full of like gratitude. And like the practices help like stress, like, not just like being a mom, but like being in the state of living in those 2-week increments. Your cortisol levels are so high during that. Like, especially if you're like, oh my God, when is this going to happen? When is this going to happen? Like, if you really are living like month to month to month to month, like these practices are going to help you so much because they just calm the mind. They calm the thoughts, they calm your nervous system. Like, it all intertwines. As your eyes are closed, well, for me, as my eyes are closed, like I can see my life. Like I don't even need to be meditating. I can just be doing these practices. And like the fun part for me now is that my toddler does them with me. Like it's just it all meshes together. And like you have to heal your nervous system before you can do everything else. Because if your nervous system is all out of whack, you're not going to be able to focus on a meditation. You're going to be thinking about, oh, gee, what's coming up next for me? Like, when's my next appointment? When are we supposed to be baby dancing? Like, when am I going to test next? Like, you're going to be thinking about all of those things. You're not going to be able to like piece it all together.
It's something that we don't really realize, this idea of being in a state of dysregulation. It impacts every single part of your life, from every bodily function, including your hormones, to your sleep, the way you interact with others. When your brain thinks that you are in survival mode, you literally are in fight or flight for most of this horrible, unknown, and this 2-week wait and this 2-week wait, and it has to happen, and this cycle has to work, and it raises your cortisol levels so much that your brain literally thinks that you are in a life or death situation. And we don't give a lot of credit to that, I find. And when I realized that, I'd been put on anti-anxiety medication, sleeping tablets. My body was screaming at me that something wasn't right. Yet here I am thinking, well, why aren't I pregnant this month? I was like, well, no shit, I'm not pregnant this month. Like, my body needs to be told it's safe. And when I learned about this, it made so much sense. And I was so frustrated that no one had told me this. No one had ever touched on it. My doctor certainly didn't. And, modern medicine is amazing. The way that these procedures and medications and everything can bring us our families is mind-bending. And it's such a gift that we have them. But when they don't work and we go back into that shame spiral and what's wrong with me and why is my body broken, that's where I think we need to look at things a bit differently. And I feel like you are wise beyond your years, Jess. Like, if I had known this stuff when I was your age, like, I think my path would have turned out very, very differently. So what would you say, even though you are still so young, to that version of you from a few years ago that was in the midst of struggling to get out of bed? What would you go back and tell her, knowing all that you know now?
Get up. No.
You got this.
I would say you have no idea how beautiful life could be today. Life gets to be beautiful today. Just because you're not holding your baby today doesn't mean that you don't get to, like, meet them where they are at today. And honestly, I would tell myself to meet myself where I was at today and not to feel guilty and not to feel like I was never ever going to become a mom and motherhood wasn't going to be meant for me because X, Y, and Z. There was always something that I was thinking, this is why I'm not a mom. But like, and to really work on my nervous system. Like, my nervous system was all out of whack, just like you. I couldn't sleep. I remember like being up awake at like 5 o'clock in the morning, wondering why I wasn't pregnant yet, and Googling every little thing that I could. Like, I would just tell myself to put the phone down and breathe. Like, breathe. Everything is going to be okay. And life gets to be beautiful right now.
What I love about your journey is that, often I do these conversations with my students that are at the end of their journey. They've had the family, but you're not. You're right in the middle. And I think that there is so much value in talking about this space as well, because it is so easy in hindsight to say, oh, I did all of these things and it all worked out fine. But you are not there yet. And you are still able to come into this place of, I know it will work out okay, even though it hasn't happened yet. And that is huge. And that is why I wanted to speak to you, because that's a place that I think so many of us struggle with. So thank you for articulating everything so beautifully. Is there anything that you want to leave people with before we finish up today? Anyone who's listening to this, who's in the midst of their own journey and is struggling, what would you say to them?
Yeah, I just want to say that it's hard. It's hard. No matter what anybody says to you, they're wrong. They're wrong about your worth as a woman, your worth as a wife, your worth as a mother. You get to be a mother. I'll call you a mama any day. Slide into my DMs. I'll call you a mama if you need me to. Yeah, I just think that, take time for you. Remember that you get to have a big, beautiful life today, even if baby is not in your arms or in your belly today. You get to love them. You don't have to walk this with a big backpack full of rocks. It doesn't have to feel heavy every single day. I mean, if that feels better for you, then by all means, of course, like, keep living on that path. But if you're ready to let go of it, just a little bit, just loosen the reins just a little bit and see how big and beautiful life is today.
Thank you so much, Jess. And I will link up your social channels if you are wanting to connect with Jess, and if you're happy for people to reach out to you, then I will link those up. You're such a beautiful soul, and I'm so lucky to have had this conversation with you today, my love. Thank you. Thank you so much for listening right to the end of this episode. Now, I just want to say that after we recorded this, Jess got some pretty incredible news, and she is currently 15 weeks pregnant with her second baby. So I just wanted to leave you on that note and to show you what is truly possible on this journey. She blows me away, this girl, honestly. So a reminder before we finish up, get yourself registered for Embrace the Journey. We have 10 days to go until I start my free fertility yoga training series for 2026. And for a very limited time following this series, we will be opening the doors to the In Your Element Fertility Yoga program. This is something that is only open for a few days every year because I like to get all of the students that I welcome into the program on the same page. We start and we go through everything together. And this is where you get to take these practices that Jess and I spoke about today really to the next level, to be guided through every single step, no matter where you are in your journey. Whether you're just starting out, you're considering going down the path of assisted treatments and IVF, maybe you've been through multiple rounds of IVF, you've experienced the devastation of pregnancy loss. No matter where you are, we tailor the practices to suit you and make sure that you are supported every single step of the way. We get to also surround yourself with some pretty awesome women from all around the world. And there is nothing more powerful than sitting in that energy and that space being held for you by a group of women who get it. It blows my mind every time, how much we get out of this idea of co-regulation and just being surrounded by people who know what you're going through. So on top of this, we have ongoing fertility yoga practices. We have monthly coaching calls to help you overcome a lot of those mental blocks that keep telling you all the things that we tell ourselves, this is never going to happen. This is too hard. I've left it too late. We help you overcome all of that. And we bring in the science of this journey as well. So you'll hear from fertility doctors, fertility naturopaths, nutritionists, and you get to ask all of your questions to these experts directly instead of going in paying them hundreds and thousands of dollars to book them one-to-one. On top of this, you also get access to all my online fertility, IVF, and pregnancy courses. It is a month-to-month program. There are no joining fees, and you can cancel anytime. If you have any questions about any of that, I would love to hear from you. Now, next week on the podcast, we're going to speak about what to do next if you are feeling completely stuck on your journey. And I'm going to take you through what the one very simple next step, the only one thing that you need to focus on if you are feeling stuck in this space. So until then, I am sending you all of my wishes as you continue your own journey to fertility. The most common thing I hear from students is that the stress of trying to conceive has taken over their life, and they have no idea how to get back to a place of calm, peace, and regulation. This January, I am hosting a free 3-day live fertility yoga event. In this series, I will be taking you through my exact process for helping you move through this. We start by giving you the tools to help regulate your nervous system. We then work with your cycle to support your hormones and to know which practices support you at each phase. And lastly, and what I think is the most important part, is that I'll help reconnect you with your body and rebuild the trust that is needed to bring your baby home. I've taken hundreds of women through this process, and what I hear time and time again is that these practices give them back that sense of peace that this journey takes from you so easily. And it's something that you'll carry through with you to motherhood and beyond. So join me. We start on January 28th. Visit elementpilatesyoga.com/waitlist or click the link in the show notes, and I can't wait to see you there.